iZotope has just released the latest RX version 9. Now, I got the update, and in this video, I want to talk to you if it's worth it for podcast producers. Hi, it's Mike from Casefile and Casefile Presents. On this channel, I'm releasing videos on podcasting. If you enjoy the content, hit the like button. I've been using RX for about 8 to 9 years, and especially now when I work on podcasts, I use it pretty much every day. So I was really excited when a couple of weeks ago iZotope released a teaser that RX9 is coming, the latest version of the audio restoration software. When it came out, I have to admit I was somewhat disappointed because it didn't seem that there was a lot to it. They've updated a few modules here and there. That's about it. However, I still got the update. There's a couple of modules they've updated that I do use, and from the videos, it seemed that they improved them a lot. Disclaimer though, I do use the advanced version, so not everything will be relevant to you. You might be using Elements, you may be using the standard version, just to put it out there. Also, I have pretty much everything from iZotope. So I use Neutron for mixing, Ozone for mastering. I've got reverbs from them. I got the tonal balance. I got the all-in bundle as of this year. I got the deal and upgraded, so I got the starter and the rest of their stuff. So I can say that I am invested in the iZotope software and their ecosystem. But anyway, let's jump into RX. I've prepped a few clips, and I just want to say I have not tested the modules yet, the new ones. So I'll explain later with the clips. What I've done, I've taken the untreated plus the treated that we've released in the latest podcast. But yeah, you will be experimenting with me. So bear with me. We will be experimenting a bit. We will be using different functions, and we'll see the results. So RX, it's here. You can have a look at features. You can have a look at pricing options and the differences between the versions, the standard, the elements, the advanced. And they also say, okay, so dialogue isolate, I think it's only in advanced though. The hum, that was the big update. I use both the hum and dialogue isolate quite a bit, especially on Casefile Presents podcasts when we have a lot of interviews and clips of varied audio quality. And then Ambience Match, and I use Ambience Match all the time. But what they've done, they created this complex version saying that it can create more than just a static background, a static hiss or a noise floor. So it'll be interesting to check that out as well. Okay, well, the upgrade cost me $150, and that was plus tax. So it wasn't the cheapest, but it wasn't the most expensive, and I've upgraded to post-production suite 6. As I said, I've got the bundles from iZotope. I've downloaded the RX9 through the product portal from iZotope. Went without a hitch. However, and I'll show you, it installs RX as a separate one. So at the moment, I have both RX8 and RX9. So it does not replace it. And the problem was that, of course, my presets are then missing. So what you've got to do if you want to keep your presets, you have to go into Documents, then your alt, which is RX8, presets. As you can see, Ambience Match, I had Casefile, Mike YouTube, and just copy to your RX9 presets folder. That's what I've done, and they work okay. All right, let's now look at the RX on its own And the first thing I noticed was the speed of opening the windows. So RX9, and now open RX8 as well, so we can have a look and compare. Okay. I hope that we can open two of them. Okay, so if we look at them, I think they're kind of identical, aren't they? Yeah, so they look the same. Okay, let's click on, let's say, as you can see, it shows pretty fast there. RX8. Maybe like a half a second delay there. Module chain, like I said, it works fine. So I've imported the presets. They are all okay. On top of that, I'm using a few keyboard shortcuts. So for example, for Ambience Match, I'm using keyboard shortcuts, and these were imported from RX8, so I did not have to set them again. So that was okay. As we look through sort of movement, so that's RX8. So we got that little jitter if we zoom in, and a little bit of that slight delay. With RX9, I have a short clip. No, actually, it's a long one. It's kind of the same, so it's not smoother, especially if you zoom in and out. It's pretty much the same. The difference, of course, is if we look Ambience Match in RX9 versus Ambience Match in RX8. So we have this complex option there. Then the hum will look different. So that's RX9, the hum RX8 looks quite different. And then we also, the big ones was dialog isolate. So it's there, and dialog isolate in RX8. It's there. So you've got separation algorithm, but you don't have that quality. You have good and best. And from what I understand, it means how long you will process the file. With dialog isolate, it always takes a little bit of time for the files to process. It's a heavy algorithm, but it's great. I mean, it's amazing. Okay, so we are in my Pro session. What I've done is at the top, I've got original files that I received from producer of The Labyrinth. That's the latest case file presents show that we've released, available for free now on Spotify, so check it out. So these were the originals, and the ones at the bottom are actually, that's a mistake. I've treated them with RX7, so that was before RX8 even. Treated with RX7, as you can see within the name, and we can obviously I've treated them with denoisers, different things, but I want to see if we can make it better with RX9 to what we had. So these at the bottom were released within the final podcast. Of course, I removed the EQ, I removed the denoisers, things like that, just to keep it simple. So we got the first clip.
Most people that I have talked to in this case will say this family's responsible for this because we can't come up with anything else.
So we got the hum in the background, very loud. That was the after cleanups.
That I have talked to in this case will say this family's responsible for this because we can't come up with anything else.
So that's pretty good. That's how we done. Then
we're going to go southeast of here. Yes, we're going to round a bend and we're going to go quite a bit.
Wind, low rumble, recorded outside. That was the after treatment.
We're going to go southeast of here. Yes, we're going to round a bend and we're going to go.
So back then it was right.
That's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain.
That's in a car.
That's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain.
It's okay. However, the dialogue quality was affected.
too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know Janet was
Very noisy in a car. Reduced to that.
but I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know.
Okay. And the last,
We kept searching. I searched far beyond what her physical capabilities were. Far beyond what her physical capabilities were, because we wanted to make.
up the vocal, the dialogue, and reduce the background. Okay, let's start with this one.
Because we can't come up with it.
So it's a hum, right? Let's try the hum module. So we go into noise reduction, RX9 connect. Let's send it.
Because we can't come up with anything else. I think
We got a lot of hum, so we can try the hum module. Now we go static and dynamic. Let's learn. Let's see what it learns first.
most people that I have talked to in this case will say,
Let's preview now.
most people that I have talked to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up,
We don't need that.
this family's responsible.
Okay, well, it doesn't really...
Case will say, this family's responsible. I have talked to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up with anything else. I think that somebody picked her up and I think have either are still in her using her as
That's pretty good. Okay, let's run it twice. So with the modules, you always run it kind of twice on the lower settings rather than one on heavier. Works better. I can see it.
most people that I have talked to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up.
That is very good. I'm gonna run it once more.
Most people that I have talked to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up with anything else. I think
That is good. That is very good. Let me render. And obviously we've gotta make it tiny bit louder. So it matches what we got at the bottom.
most people that I have talked to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up with anything else.
So that's what we've done. Quick 3 passes of the hum just to learn option. I haven't played with any parameters. And that's what we had in the original.
Most people that I have talked
The one that we've released.
to in this case will say, this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come this family's responsible for this. Because we can't come up with anything else. Responsible for this. Because we can't come up with anything else.
So we can hear still a bit of hum in the one that I've done with RX7. And
Responsible for this. Because we can't come
This
up
is
with
good
anything
one.
else. Responsible for this. Because I think that somebody picked her up. I think that somebody
nice. That's good. That is good. I am happy with it. Obviously, I would play around. I would have to even the dialogue with the clip gain with the leveler. But as you can hear, even from the... You still got that low frequency hum there. And in the new one, in the clip that we've just done, it kind of just sounds like a room. There is no distraction of that hum. So I am liking it. Okay, from all these clips, let's try
Taken from this mountain. It's
this one. Okay, so he's in a car. We also got low level rumble, low level hum there. That's what we end up with.
taken from this mountain, it still wouldn't rule out that.
So it's clear what he's saying, but obviously the processing affected the sound. Let's try dialogue isolate with that. See what it can do. New dialogue isolate. I'm gonna read of that. Noise, we don't need that. There.
Out that she wasn't abducted and taken from down here to.
Okay, so I'm not gonna cut the low rumble. I just want to use dialogue isolate. Okay, see how that does. What I would normally do, I would then cut the sort of below 100 hertz with EQ, but let's not do that. Okay, let's go with best quality and see the preview. Okay. Will it?
There.
Will it compute the preview? Okay.
That's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain. It still wouldn't rule out that she wasn't abducted and taken from down.
That is good, but a little bit too much. Let's try this function.
That's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain. It still wouldn't rule out that.
That is good. Okay, let's preserve it to 60% and render. So just one pass for now. I'm not gonna play with sensitivity though. And see what it does. Okay, so it got rid of quite a bit of stuff there, but it left that low level rumble. I'm gonna send it back. I wanna see after one pass. Wow, that is a big change. Yeah, let's put it up for like 340 dB again, so it matches. Okay.
If it in fact is her, that's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain. It still wouldn't rule out that if it in fact is her, that's going to rule out that she was taken from this mountain. It still wouldn't rule out taken from this mountain.
I am liking the one at the top because it left us this low rumble, so we are hearing that we are in a vehicle, but the dialogue is clearly
that she wasn't abducted and taken from down here to there.
Understandable, and that's the old one.
That she wasn't abducted and taken from down here to there.
And as you can hear, the dialogue still understandable, but we've reduced a lot of that.
But
so we cannot hear that he's in a car because I've reduced all that to make it, sound clearer. But with new dialogue isolate, again, just one pass. I haven't played with settings that much. It gave us a really nice effect.
But
although, let's listen to what I just caught was the old, just the beginning.
If it in fact is her. If it in fact is her.
Now, I don't like that. So I would probably not treat this bit. It sounds very synthetic.
If it in fact is her.
The old.
If it in fact is her.
Sounds much better. But this, the meat of the dialogue.
Taken from this mountain. It still wouldn't.
I am liking it.
Taken from.
I'm liking it a lot. Okay, so let's try one more. We've been recording for a bit, but
Make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know Janet.
So that's the original, and that's what we end up with.
But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know.
So it did affect the dialogue, a lot, but I was going for that intelligibility, right? Okay, but let's try dialogue isolate with that. I know there's a bit of a hum there as well, but I want to test it with dialogue isolate first. Let's preview. It does take a long time to preview, but the quality
At night, I walked as much as I could, but I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very.
So what I will do is I'll treat it, and then we can run the hum. I would normally cut it completely, but because I cut it, that's why the dialogue was thin in the example. But if we try the hum, let's learn, and then preview. Sorry, preview from the
That night, I walked as much as I could, but I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know Janet would probably not have made it up. But I...
Okay, so it is cutting a lot of it.
That night, I walked as much as I could, but I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know Janet would probably not have made it up. She gets tired very...
If we render, it's gonna get rid of it. Okay.
But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard.
It got rid of all of it. But let's see how it fares to what we had.
But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough, very hard. I know Janet would probably not have made it up. She gets tired very quickly. She's overweight. Probably not have made it up.
So it is clearer. It's a little bit clearer at the top with the new dialogue isolate and the hum. It is similar.
But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough. But I couldn't make it too far. The rain there is pretty rough.
It is definitely clearer in the top one. Although I would...
But I couldn't make it...
It is what it is. It is clearer though. That's definitely the case. Let's put this up.
Far beyond what her physical capabilities were. Far beyond what her physical...
Okay, you know what? Let's play with that ambience match.
Searching. I searched far beyond...
Okay, so so we can
physical capabilities were, because we wanted to make absolute...
dialogue isolate will sort it out, but what I'm interested in is if we... So let's mute that for a bit. Make few gaps. So we got...
Searching. I searched far beyond what her physical capabilities were, because we wanted to make absolute sure.
Okay, let's try the new Ambience Match, the complex version. Click learn to selected audio ambience. Do we have a bit
Out in our mind that she had not kept going down a trail anyway.
Yeah.
maybe this bit? Okay, let's see.
Pretty good.
Discard dialogue. So I cannot play it. As you can see, it left all that stuff there. Learn without... Okay, maybe less. No. So it's learning the clicks, as you can see. We don't want the clicks. Okay, here's the bit. Okay, here's the bit. Learn, maybe even with try it out.
I searched far.
I kind of see it loops. Yeah, that's not good. Okay.
I searched.
No. Okay, so this is too short.
Kept going. Absolute sure that it was.
No. I don't like it. Okay. Let's learn the static. Static will work. I know this. Sorry. We want this.
I searched far beyond what her physical capabilities were.
So.
On what her physical capabilities were. Because we wanted to make absolute sure. Because we wanted to make absolute sure that it was no.
Yeah. Not sure about the complex type because it does loop. As you can probably hear, it loops a little bit of that tonality there, and it doesn't sound very nice. Static works, but that always worked. It's a good idea, but and I did read online with other people as well that they weren't so sure about that complex as it loops. Maybe if you just need a little bit of it, then that will help. But all in all, the static still.
I searched far beyond what her physical capabilities were. Because we wanted to make absolute sure.
So, we take that static, we got that background noise, but obviously you have that children talking in the background. Unfortunately, the new complex version of the Ambience Match loops a little bit of that tonality, and it doesn't sound great, especially if you want to have it longer than only a couple seconds. But it's a good idea, we've got to experiment, we've got to see how it fares, and probably in future versions that's gonna be even better, which is exciting because then you can start building these complex backgrounds as you need. But yeah, that's it. Let's see it. That's RX9. As far as the rest of the stuff goes, they probably did fix other stuff, a few algorithms here and there under the hood, but that's the ones they are promoting. So new Ambience Match, dialog isolate, and de-hum. Now, would I recommend it to podcast producers? It depends. It depends what version of iZotope RX you got. It depends what kind of dialogues you're working on. And even looking at the hum and dialog isolate, the upgrade was somewhat worth it. $150, yeah, it's kind of steep, but if it's your job, then that's just expense of the business. I tend to use dialog isolate a lot, especially on Case File Presents shows when we got a lot of different audio, as well as the hum. I wasn't sure in the past. I have not used it in the past. I prefer to get rid of the hum manually, because what I found was when you got that hum on the dialogue and you get rid of that hum with the module, it would put artifacts, because it would cut the hum from the dialogue. It would put artifacts on the dialogue. I have not heard that in this version, and as you heard in the clips that we've done, it worked extremely well, especially in the first one we've done. Dialogue isolate as well, really, really good. When we combine the two, it did make the dialogue thin, but obviously we got rid of all that low frequency noise, but the dialogue was clearer than what I had done with RX7 for the podcast. So I'll leave the decision up to you. Obviously, I've upgraded, and I will be using it for foreseeable future. We'll probably make another video about the modules in detail and maybe some other stuff that I noticed with this version. But I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching. I think that's it for today. I'm Mike Migas. If you enjoyed the video, check the rest of my channel. For now, share, like, please subscribe, and I'll see you later.